For the buildings, we have a bunch of new buildings. So you are probably familiar with the buildings where you have these are the most OG buildings where you get like the crystals and you have like the golem as well. Wait, where's the golem? I'm not sure. There's like, I think the golem is maybe bought somewhere else. But you have these buildings and you also have like the max energy storage, which max energy storage I would recommend people to buy. It does not, however, increase the speed of how fast you get your energy back. But I definitely recommend to buy those because you tend to overflow in your energy. At least that's your normal energy. Then you also have them for dimensional hole energy right now. It does cost you this material, which I don't really... well, if you farmed a lot of 2As for 2As or skill-ups, you probably have a lot of those. If you're like me, but you're more of the rune farming rather than multiple 2As farming, which I do recommend to do. I wouldn't go for a lot of rune, or wouldn't go for a lot of 2As farming, but I would go for rune farming. You won't have too many of those. Then it's kind of a choice what you want to build. So if you have a lot of these materials, I would just recommend to buy everything. Because it's just, why not? That's in the end. They kind of look cool as well. Like you have like the hologram kind of thing on it as well. Like, but what is actually important if you do not have too much of that material? Well, the thing is, what is mainly important is not getting the energy max storage, because it takes 2 hours to get an energy on that thing. And I think you pretty much never fill or overfill or should overfill 100. You don't need 130 for it because it doesn't increase how fast you get the storage or how fast you get the energy back. However, there is 2 that actually does give that energy recharge of 10%. Someone did, however, mention, I'm not sure if it's 10% or it's actually supposed to be just 10 minutes, because someone mentioned that it is 10 minutes rather than 10%, and 10% should be 12 minutes. So could be a bug, could be a feature, I don't know. This thing says 10% rate, but apparently it's 10 minutes at this time. But then you drag it down from 2 hours to 1 hour 40 minutes, which is really insane. And this is definitely, I think, the first thing you should focus on with this patch to get all of these things in. So definitely 100% focus on this. These you just get from doing the 2As. This you just simply get from getting the... You just have to farm like the, what's it called, scenarios. And you have like 2 different scenarios where you get some of those. So wait, let's see. Do you get mountain ruins? No. No, I think none of them. Oh, Timor Desert is overlapping actually on both, it seems. White thingy. Okay, so Runar is not overlapping. Okay, so I'd farm either this one or the Timor Desert one to get this material, because that's the one where you get both. And getting the shiny mithril is mostly something that people take a little bit longer for than the other one. So yeah, that's pretty much just what you want to do for buildings. And you could buy all of them. If you haven't cleared this yet, it's pretty much just saying that you have to clear like the stages all the way to level 5. There could be people that only farmed Elunia but never farmed any of the other stages and like, hey, how do you clear this stuff? Well, you have to farm the other dungeons, well, at least the level 5 once. And from there you get that stuff and therefore you can do it. But yeah, also keep in mind that you definitely, if you missed it out, you definitely want to get all of these. These I would definitely recommend to buy or to get as well. And if I'm not mistaken, there's also in the shop over here, that's something that I do notice some people missed out on as well. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's just buildings in here. It's a building that has been added later, but I always forget where that one is at, where you can get it, which is this thing. I just would have to check where you get it, but here you get extra energy from as well. So that is something that you definitely don't want to miss out on as well, but I don't really remember where it is at. It's in the crafting building, bottom left. Is it? Ah, it is. Yep, perfect. So thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, this is definitely one of those where you also don't want to miss out on. Like if you happen to have not building this one yet, you do want to do that for sure. Yeah, that's just the difference where some people have a lot of this. Like if you have a lot of these materials, it just means that you're farming a lot of 2As for Devilmons or 2As for skill-ups. I never did that. And the golem is in the shop building. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's the other one that I was missing. Because the other one that's very important, because now we're making a video on buildings anyways. buildings, you have the golem over here. That's 500 crystals. If you play, I think like a few months, you get this back anyways as well, which is definitely a thing that you want to buy. So main interesting things that you want to buy are these two, which are the ones for the increasing rate. Definitely, if you haven't done it, which I think most people have done by now, is that you have the mysterious plant, which you can buy through glory points, and that is recharge energy. This is recharge energy, and then these are all for extending that you get higher on this. Another thing which people sometimes are like, okay, you have 200 energy, or you have 210 energy, I have 200 energy, how do you get to 210? That is simply the daily pack. The daily pack 1 gives you plus 10 on the storage, but the daily pack 1 also gives you higher on the recharge. And the higher on the recharge is the important factor. And what also a lot of people ask me is like, hey, why do you buy this one for 30 rather than this one for 60? Because everyone that doesn't have daily pack 1 should buy the 190 for 60. Because that is technically higher value, because this one will only net you 180 for 60, whereas this one is 10 more. However, if you have plus 10 on both of them, this is 100 for 30 and 200 for 60. Same, potatoes, same, different, but still the same. So therefore, I prefer to buy this one, because with this one, it's less likely to have an overflow of your energy. An overflow of your energy means that the energy that you have here that you get over time doesn't count anymore. Same as I have with wings right now. So you definitely always want to have these things where it allows it, where you can recharge it. Technically for your wings as well, and I've been a little bit lazy on that at the moment. But yeah, those are technically the kind of things, like if you want to play efficient, and that's also how I played a lot on like free-to-play stuff, get all of those things where you get more resources that you can use towards doing more dungeons. And adding in the thing where you can do more, more dimensional hole energy. It's definitely very powerful, because especially you have this raid right now, and you definitely want to be using some of those in here as well. So in this case, you also see like it's 30 minutes right now, and it should be more if I didn't have the full thing. But making this like 130 storage, cannot really see it because I'm in front of it, but making this like 130 storage, I don't really think you should care about too much, because in the end, 100 times 100 times 1 hour 40, that will take quite a bunch of time in general. Someone's asking about buildings for glory buildings. Someone's asking what is the most important order for glory buildings. I recommend you to max out this thing pretty quick if you're out of energy. If you do not have energy issues, because in the early game you do tend to get a lot of energy, I actually do not recommend to build 1 tower max and then move on to the next building. Like a lot of people would say like, okay, first get your speed building, then get your defense building. Defense building is not that interesting anymore because we cannot really Karu, but the thing is, if you build 1 building fully on, it is a lot more expensive than if you build everything a little bit. And building everything a little bit is... You feel less of like, oh, I accomplished this one right now, now I move on to the next tier. But at some point, this one is like, let's say 1,000, whereas buying like 6 of these is also 1,000. So sure, you want to give this one the higher value that if they're somewhat towards the same thing. Like you want to build this one to 10, and then you want to build everything to 2 or 3. Then you're going to build this one to 13, 14 maybe, and then the other should be around like 4 or 5. Like that's kind of the level that you should be doing it on. Sure, you have one thing that you focus on the most, but in the other hand, I would not start lacking on all of the other things like completely, like build them a little bit as well. And that's pretty much for everything bowling related in Summoners War.